Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Episcopal Church at the Ascension. I'm glad that you've gathered here on this on a holiday weekend. Even no better thing to celebrate than the resurrected Lord, after all. Blessed be God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
And blessed be His kingdom, now and forever. Amen.
In the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen. Be seated. If you want to really know what desperate feels like, have a child with a problem that no one can solve. That was the Syrophoenician woman's situation. Then they called it an evil spirit. Today we would have some other name for the behavioral problem, and we would have a long treatment with drugs that would cost a lot of money, and all kinds of debates about how to solve it. She was desperate to go to a Jew. Jews didn't have anything to do with other people. In fact, a Jew was made ritually unclean by coming in contact with a Gentile. And you couldn't go to temple worship until you had purified yourself. So she was probably expecting that initial refusal by Jesus and had rehearsed that quick and very bright answer that even the dogs get the crumbs under the table. I'm not too sure why Jesus turned her down to start with. Some people say, well, he was trying to teach his disciples a lesson. And some argue he wanted to just test to see how serious she was. It could have just been his Jewish background coming out. Or it may have been the fact that he was there to rest and really didn't want to do anything. But he did hear her plea, and he did respond and solve the child's problem. Now, if you want to look for people who are desperate, whose pleas have not been heard by somebody who is both willing and able to resolve them, you don't have to look very far in today's world. Go home, turn on the television news, and you get it slamming you in the face. Some of those people are in trouble because of their own dumb decisions. They did things that they really shouldn't have done, and they knew they shouldn't have done. Others were just born in the wrong place, at the wrong time, to the wrong parents, or perhaps with some genetic problems. And a small percentage are just too lazy to take care of themselves. And some of those, if we give them just a little bit of help, they can take care of themselves from now on. Some of them, someone's going to have to take care of for their whole lives. So how do we distinguish between them? How do we decide? You know, I have really good news. We don't have to decide. They're all the same. James said, they're all sinners. That may sound unfair to us, but we've all broken the law. We've all been disobedient. You can't say, I'm obedient, when you've one time been disobedient. But we can't discount them as sinners because we are too. We're supposed to take care of one another. Jesus said something about loving your neighbor as you love yourself. They're our obligation. In fact, separating them and us is a fiction. would you think you were closely related? I'm on one of those deals where I've turned in a DNA sample and they send me every now and then somebody who's a relative, and they're once or twice removed. Would you think you were closely related to somebody if 80% of the DNA was the same? Would you? Yeah. Okay. Actually, 98% of your DNA you share with a chimpanzee. So, with a human being, the difference is out 5 or 6 decimal places. There aren't any we and they. It's just we. And when we go to feed the homeless, we're feeding us. When we go to tutor and mentor at Stoltz Road, we're tutoring and mentoring us. When we fix up a bicycle and give it to a homeless person, we're giving a bicycle to us. That division of people and the picking me as the most important is a heresy. It just doesn't work. Now there are probably 2 reasons why the Epistle of James is not very popular. If you followed Paul's request to read it this week, you may have read it for the first time. First, James has the effrontery to say that all of us are sinners, every single one. And then he says, your faith doesn't matter unless you act it out. Now, James is not saying we work our way into heaven. He's saying you will do what you believe. Your beliefs control your behavior. I remember the story of 2 men standing at the edge of Niagara Falls, and there's a tightrope across, and one of them has a wheelbarrow, and he says, do you believe I can roll this wheelbarrow all the way across there without falling? And the other one says, yeah. He says, I've seen you. You have very good balance. I believe you can do that. He says, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Then get in the wheelbarrow. See, when we invest ourselves in feeding the homeless, in mentoring children who need it, giving bicycles to homeless people, in sending financial aid, which is all we can do for the refugees in Europe and who are coming from Africa and Syria. We're getting in the wheelbarrow. We're acting out our beliefs that those people are as important as we are. Did my heart good this week when the Hungarians finally got it straight and removed the concertina wire and opened their borders. The Hungarian people went out on the highways to meet the refugees as they came through, carrying baskets of food. Now that's acting out your faith. That's faith with works. Europe has a huge problem because they don't know how they're going to take care of all those refugees. That's one of the reasons that sometimes we want to blame people's problems on them, is there are more problems than we can take care of. There are more hungry people in Dallas than you and I can feed. There are more children that need mentoring than you and I can mentor, than this whole parish can do, than all the parishes in town can do. It's not a reason to not do it. In fact, that is a reason to act. We've got to trust in God that what we do is sufficient for us to do. We've got to get in the wheelbarrow. Amen.